Hey guys, I just wanted to provide you with a little bit of an overview for Module 7. I have made some pretty big changes to this module. Before I had some links in there and they weren't working just right, so I've changed it around a little bit. So the new format, be sure to take a look at it. The assignments in the module are still the same, but the supplemental information is organized a little bit differently into two categories. We're talking about theoretical approaches to social work practice this week. So I have delineated that into two separate categories. One, social work practice theories, and also developmental theories. And there are two folders in there. So be sure and click on the thing that looks like an open folder, and you can find the information on all those. There's a lot of videos in there. Myself, I'm a visual learner, so I find that a little bit easier. I hope they're helpful to you guys. There's a video on each of the theoretical approaches um, we are addressing this week. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of content in um, this module. A lot of information about theories. There's some reading and these videos and all that. Don't get overwhelmed. I just want you to have a general overview of these theories and what they are and how they marry into social work practice. So don't become overwhelmed about learning everything about each of these theories. I just want you to have a general overview. When you get into your HBSC classes, you will understand more about these theories. You'll talk a little bit more, and in the practice classes, it'll talk a lot more about it. So just I want you to get a general gist of everything. But I do want to talk a little bit about the social work practice theories. One of the biggest things I want you guys to learn in this class is, how we've learned a lot about social work, what it is, how we think as social workers, how things are different. So two of the most important theoretical approaches behind that are this one is the strengths perspective, and it's very straightforward. In the strengths perspective, we are looking for the client's strengths. And sometimes that's difficult. Myself in practice, I worked a lot with people struggling with addiction. So sometimes people are at a very low point in their life when I would see them, in detox or in early recovery. And it was sometimes difficult to uh, for them to see a bright spot in their life. So finding strengths was a very great tool that we use as social workers to help empower our clients and help to move forward in their lives and move forward in their in my case with my clients recovery, or working toward their goals in their treatment plans. So being able to find those strengths, and always in social work our thinking is a little bit different because we're always using that line of thinking when we're working with clients. When you're talking with a client, getting to know them, and you sit and try to pick out those strengths, and that's a very distinct part of social work. So understanding the strengths perspective, it's a big part of that. So I want you guys to come off knowing more about the strengths perspective. Really great video. It's a TED talk in there about strengths. This gentleman is talking about strengths with students, but it applies across the board. The other one is the person in the environment. As social workers, we consider the environment when we talk about our clients. Three, I always make this distinction when people think about, there's a lot of parallels between psychology, sociology, and social work. Well, there's a few major differences. In psychology, they are looking more at the individual, the biology, the genetic makeup of the person, how that affects their thinking, their actions, those kind of things. In sociology, it's kind of the opposite. They think the environment um, influences the individual more, and so the environment has total control over it. It's not necessarily about their genetics or their biology. Um, Now, in social work, we believe it's a combination of the two. It's a person in their environment. So the information about person in the environment is very crucial in understanding, because it helps us understand and look at our clients, and helps us give us a different perspective in looking at everyone. We understand that the environment a person is um, raised in, an environment that someone currently lives in, drastically affects their actions, the way they carry themselves. Good example is, you have a woman that is very um, independent, very self-sufficient, and then gets involved with a partner that's abusive. And that abusive and toxic environment changes the entire thinking of that woman. Might become more secluded. She's less self-confident. She's less independent. She's more dependent on that partner because of the toxic relationship. So the environment has greatly affected that person. So when we look at our clients, we can't only look at them, we have to look at their environment. So that's a key part of social work. So I want you guys to really take away that information. Now, the information on the developmental approaches, I think, is fascinating. This is stuff that you'll hit harder on in your HBSC classes. So those include Freud, and if anybody anything about psychology, Freud is one of the biggest names in psychology, and his theoretical approaches of development are very interesting. The id, ego, and superego. So take some time. The video is really interesting. I think it helps with some understanding. Erikson and the 8 stages of development. Also, there's a couple of videos in there about that one. One really cool one that illustrates the 8 stages of development through Disney Pixar movies. So that one's really cool. Well, I think it's really cool, but I'm a geek about this stuff. So, Jean Piaget, cognitive theory. That's really some interesting information on how we develop our thinking. And then finally, Kohlberg's stages of moral development. That's interesting to see how we develop our thinking and how we develop our moral reasoning over our lifespan. So good information, like I said, just get a good feel for it. I think it's good information you guys will enjoy. There is the chapter to be read. The chapter that I provided in the overview is a chapter from another book that used to be included in this class, but I find that chapter useful with this because it talks about several of the approaches mentioned here, and the videos I think will help kind of clear up some of that, because sometimes that reading can be a little difficult because it's just a lot of content. Now, as far as the assignments, in the assignments, the essay assignment for this module, I want you to choose one of the theories that we talk about. It can be one of the social work practice theories. It can be one of the developmental theories. And I want you to apply it to your practice. Think about your current practice setting. And now, if you are not currently working in social work, or you could also use the practice setting that you intend to work in once you move on to another job, or something of that nature. So apply it to a practice setting. How could this theory explain some of your clients' behavior? How could this help you with your understanding of the population you're working with? Now, when you do the essay, don't forget to explain the theory. Tell me a little bit about it, including history, information about it, and how it's normally applied to practice, and then apply it to your practice. So this should give you some time to really reflect and think about how this information is applicable in your current environment or upcoming environment. That's one thing I like about this information is, we talk, in a lot of aspects in life, you talk about theories, but this, you actually get to see how it does affect you or affect your clients in real life. Okay. And the discussions this week are center around the theories. Also, what was most difficult to understand, what was the easiest to understand and explain. And I'll try to keep an eye on the discussion and chime in if I feel like I need to. Maybe I can clear something up if you guys really have questions about a certain theoretical perspective. And then finally, we have the final discussion assignment. It's just a little bit more information on self-reflection. Get you to think about what you've learned this semester, what was most significant, and what you want to learn more about. And certainly, put anything in there you think. And if there's anything you think that I can improve on in the class, or anything that you're missing, there was information that you would like to know more about, please let me know. This is a good opportunity to do that. And believe it or not, this is the last module. These are the last assignments for the class. So everything will be due on April 29th for this module. The late assignments due date is April 30th at 11:59. So if you have any late assignments, be sure to get those in by that date. This is, and then the class ends on May 4th. So I hope to have a lot of that graded by May the 4th, but I have a couple classes, so bear with me. But yeah, and I'll put you guys some information on here about how to access your grades if you're not familiar with that process, but you can access your final grades through MyCU, our online portal, and you can get in there to see your final grades there. That's where you'd also access midterm grades if that's ever an issue. I think from it starting in the fall, we're going to be issuing letter grades at midterm also. So if you're going to be in the program in the fall, that's something that you need to become familiar with. But that's how you'll access your final grades for the course. So that is my overview of Module 7. Sorry it's kind of lengthy, but there was some information in there I wanted you guys to really get. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer those questions. I always like talking to you guys. So good luck with Module 7. And we're almost at the finish line, guys, so hang in there. Take care. Bye.